Hi everyone, Sally here. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Menopause Mindset Monday. And it is Monday, it's Bank Holiday Monday, but it totally doesn't feel like a Bank Holiday Monday because of this lockdown, weird time, mental mayhem that we're in. So let me know how you're doing today. If you're watching, do say hi, leave a comment for me, and let me know how you are. Have you had a nice weekend this weekend? I started putting the pieces of the Menopause Mindset Academy together. I started composing, writing, formulating, and getting to grips with the first module, which is all about nutrition. So that was rather exciting. So today's topic is all about becoming self-employed, but becoming self-employed during perimenopause. So I've got 6 marketing, businessy type tips for you, and I'm going to save the best till last as always, so please do stay with me until the end. So we've got Kaya Salim joining, we've got Jane. Hi Jane, I'm just going to test out this new feature. Woohoo, there we go. Can you see your comment pop up there? That's a new thing that I managed to work out how to do today. And then Jane, there we go. So that's eCam for you. Okay, so why are we talking about this subject today? This is a really important subject, and a lot of my conversations this week to a lot of my friends and my clients have been about setting up their own businesses. Mainly because of lockdown, and mainly because lockdown has instigated this sort of new way of thinking. Now, many women that I speak to have been sitting on these ideas for a long time, but they feel that now is the time to get out there and to get these ideas out into the world. But they're worried about how they might navigate that internally with their own fears and blocks, and externally as well with their systems and strategies. So hopefully this will help you. And I know that often in business, women especially can get very overwhelmed with technology, but truthfully, you can learn anything on YouTube. It's just knowing what to put into YouTube. But if you get stuck or confused, just ask me and I'll be able to help you. Kaya, it's not Kaya, it's Kaya. Sorry. Okay, Kaya, like IKEA, or is it Kia? Depends how you say IKEA, doesn't it? Is it IKEA or IKEA? Maybe you could put the phonetic down. So now time seems to be of the essence in perimenopause, and I think that's why we feel that in perimenopause we have to get things right first time, whereas in our 20s and 30s, perhaps we had more leeway time-wise. We felt that, we could make a few mistakes, we could pick up the pieces and move on. It doesn't feel like such a rush when we're in our 20s and 30s. But when we start becoming perimenopausal, into the menopause and then postmenopausal, it feels like time is sort of pressing down on our shoulders. That's what it feels like. But of course, that's just perspective as well. Morgan Freeman didn't start his acting career until he was 53. So we always have time, but I get it. There is that weighing down, that feeling of pressure that is kind of weighing you down when we get into that midlife age. So we don't want to risk making too many mistakes. So hopefully the stuff that I'm going to give you is going to help you against that. So another reason why at perimenopause we might want to go into being self-employed is that we actually do need more flexibility at that age. So perimenopause requires us to eat a certain way, to relax a bit more, to do exercise. And obviously we've got our normal commitments like family and work and businesses, and running a house is a full-time job in itself. So if we do have our own business, we can take that nap in the afternoon. We can, just before I came online, I laid in the front room for an hour and I was doing my breathing exercises and just doing some omming, some chanting, doing some chakra balancing stuff, because I felt a little bit tired because I worked the whole of yesterday. And so I just needed that little top up of energy. If I worked in a company, it would be harder for me to do that. depending on how forward thinking the company was. So I have always been self-employed. I've always lived life on my own terms, if you like. I've done 3 years of self-employment, which I hated with a passion, although I did learn stuff, but not as much as I've learned being self-employed. So it absolutely has its benefits, but it can be very overwhelming because you have to do everything. It's not like you are just marketing expert or strategic coordinator, or what's the other one, operations manager. You are everything. You know, you have to get a bookkeeper, you have to do your marketing, you have to do your admin, you have to build relationships with clients, you have to write your programs, you have to create your offers. There's so much, and it can be potentially overwhelming. So I've created these 6 tips for you to hopefully help you gain a greater perspective, but also to give you something to implement as well. So number 1 is body over business, especially when we are perimenopausal. So energy creates energy. So the more energy that you have, the more energy you will be able to expend or put into your business. If you don't have energy, you can't put energy into your business. And money is energy too. And so if you don't have energy, you're not going to be open, you're not going to be receptive, you're not going to be letting it in. Now, as I said before, going self-employed is potentially quite overwhelming. There's a lot of hats that we have to wear, and we are going to need quite a lot of energy to be self-employed, especially if you are currently working part-time or maybe even full-time, and you've only got like maybe an hour or 2 hours in the evening and maybe one day at the weekend, or both days at the weekend if you've not got a family, to devote to your self-employed work. And in those times, you are going to need energy. So this is about making sure that you absolutely prioritize your energy cultivation, whatever that may be for you, whether it's nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress reduction. All of those lifestyle things have to be put in place first. And the reason I'm saying this is because I tried to build and grow my RTT business back in 2017 without having a solid health foundation. So I was going into my perimenopause at this time, but I didn't know I was. And as a result, I was still playing out the lifestyle habits of a 30-year-old that weren't working for me. So when I started to address my eating, especially my exercise, my work-life balance got so much better. I had more energy to then put into the stuff that I wanted to do, but I did burn out. And we spoke about burnout last Monday. So if burnout is an issue for you, then you're going to be thinking, oh my God, there's no way I could try to be self-employed or grow my business, because that's a real block there. So making sure that you have a really good solid foundation, a healthy foundation, is absolutely rule number 1 when it comes to your business. Let's see. Oh, yes. I also spoke about negativity in this as well. So negativity can really, really drain your energy. And I know that in the past, like about 5 years ago, my partner would say to me, wow, you are so negative. And that was a real wake-up call for me, and enabled me to just become very aware of when I was being negative. Now, I see a lot of people in the work that I do who come to me with this sort of anxiety, depression, and potentially like this addiction to negativity. Like the negativity is almost like an outlet for their anxiety, like it regulates their anxiety, but actually it doesn't. It makes it worse in the long run. So it's like a short-term behavior that has got a quick fix, but it actually doesn't. So making sure that you're really working on your mindset and you are becoming very aware of when you're going down a negative spiral, because negativity absolutely depletes your energy. The more negative you become, the more depressed you become, the more lethargic you become. So it's about breaking that cycle, finding ways to be positive, whether it's podcast or Abraham Hicks video or breathing or walking or just having a conversation with someone. For me, even doing a Facebook Live helps me to become more positive, because I'm coming out of that like sort of stasis, focused on a computer working, into more of a communicative role. So that's why I love doing Facebook Lives, and I think they are really good for your mental health as well. So, and the other thing in the health aspect is also about loosening the reins of control. So when we're controlling, when we try to have things be a certain way, they must be a certain way, or we're looking at things being perfect, we create negativity, we create resistance, we create defensiveness in the body, and that again depletes our energy. So business is all about generating energy in yourself, generating positivity, whilst at the same time just relaxing the reins of control a little bit, so that you let life help you, so that you don't feel you're the one that's having to do everything. And I was reminded of something yesterday. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and she said she wasn't worried about her beauty business sort of going down the pan, because she said, it's got a life of its own. The business has a life of its own, and if it wants to survive, it will. And I felt that about Inspiring Talks as well. When I was about to hand it over, I felt like it was flying the nest. It had a life of its own. And that's how I'm feeling about my new business as well. And what that does is it helps you to relax a little bit around it, so that you don't feel like you're always having to grip and steer and control your business. So let me know if this is making sense or not making sense. Okay. Number 2, you need to find out if your idea is viable. So I am absolutely certain that all of you watching this will have a business idea, or you may already have a business and you want to grow it, or you may have a business and want to change direction slightly. So this is about working out, is your idea viable? And it probably is, but what we need to do is make sure. So this is about having one-to-one phone calls or Zoom calls with your target person, your client avatar, your ideal client, and really understanding their mindsets better. So this is about getting on the phone, and this is about asking questions, and this is about taking notes. So doing your market research. Okay, and this is something that was only really made aware to me until recently. And you might have seen some of my links on this page inviting you to have a call with me to find out what your perimenopause issues are and how I can help you. So this is, building relationships with people, getting on the phone with them and asking questions, find out what their frustrations are, and then with a view to creating and crafting something that can meet that need. So you can be really specific with your questions. You can ask them where they hang out online, what blogs do they read, what social media channels do they follow, do they go on, who do they follow on Instagram or Twitter, are they a podcast person or are they a video person, what kind of things do they think would help them, like would it be a one-to-one service or would it be an online service that would help them, and why is that? So this is about doing your due diligence and finding out what exactly your clients' problems are, and then creating a service to meet that need. And the good thing is, when you get on the phone to somebody, you've already built a relationship with them, or you're building a relationship with them, and that person that you are on the phone with is quite likely to purchase your product or service when it comes out. So it's just a really good thing to do. But you have to take notes, because if you don't take notes, you are going to forget what that person said. So I like to have my phone here on speakerphone, and I'm listening to the person, and I've got my hands free and I'm typing as I speak. And then it's about getting all these research calls done in a time frame, so that all of your content, your social media content and your conversations of social media are around this thing. So generating, so for example, saying you're going to get 10 research calls done in the space of 2 weeks. It keeps you laser beam focused, and laser beams are very powerful. Okay, so number 3, this is about creating an offer. So creating an offer that works for you as well as your client. So you will have gathered lots and lots of information from the research calls. Now it's up to you to sit there, to go through it, and to perhaps categorize some of the reoccurring themes that are coming up from the research calls. So categorize them and see how you can create something which solves each one of those problems. And this is the thing, this service that you're creating has to work for has to work for you first and foremost. This is about boundaries. There's no point in you creating or you thinking about creating and designing this amazing, like, year-long online course with access to you once a week, one-to-one access, when you're just not going to be able to create that or deliver it. So thinking about small things that you can deliver, like maybe a 4-week Zoom course or a PDF that you can sell with a couple of videos attached. Keep it high quality, but make sure the price reflects something that you are happy with. And you just want to make sure that you are maximizing efficiency. So you're maximizing, you're leveraging your time, you're leveraging technology so that you are not having to put in too much physical labor. Because at perimenopause, we really have to manage our energy well, particularly well at this age of our life. Okay, yes. Yeah, start small and easy, because the simplest route is always going to be the most effective. It's like this idea of taking one brick, like, the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, that huge, like, incredible cathedral that they still haven't finished. So it's like, if you imagine that, you'd think, how the hell do you build something like that? Like, it's taken over 100 years, but it's still been done in a step-by-step way. So it's about taking one brick per moment or per day or per hour to your project, to your offer, to creating your offer so that you're not overwhelmed. This is about being in the moment. My course that I'm creating it's quite substantial, and it would be very easy for me to get overwhelmed and throw the towel in. And if I let myself sort of think about it too much, then it just becomes like something I want to throw the towel in for. So just be where you are at, do what you can right now. Don't make it too unachievable for yourself. Start small, start easy, start with what you've got, work with what you've got, and then slowly build from there. Okay, number 4, it's really important, I personally think, you may disagree, to be active on social media. Now, you know how active I am on social media because I love it, I enjoy it. It does have its cons and it does have its pros, for sure. It can be very energetically draining, but only if you let it. So there are ways to manage your feelings and emotions around social media, and that can absolutely be done. But from a business point of view, it's really important, I think, to get on social media. The genie is out of the bottle and it's not going back in the bottle. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to grow and grow and grow. It's making us more connected than ever. So, from a business point of view, real life is actually quite limiting. I remember before social media, I would have to create and print off flyers for my singing lessons and then go and deliver them through people's doors, not even knowing if they were interested in singing lessons or not. Now I can absolutely target people all around the world who are interested in menopause, singing, self-esteem stuff, self-growth, personal growth, lifestyle, whatever it is that I'm doing at that time, I can target those people, and I haven't got to get off my bum and trawl around the streets. So, social media is a really, really good thing. Now, my plea to you is just choose one social media platform at first, maybe two if you're adept at one, and then absolutely laser beam your focus on those platforms. Because if you try to do all the social media platforms, you are going to get so overwhelmed. Now, I like to use this analogy. You've got a laser beam and a light bulb. So the light bulb is very lovely. It's not as powerful as a laser beam, right? So a light bulb scatters its energy 360, right? It's very, very scattered. Yes, it can light up a room, but that's all it can do. Whereas a laser beam, all of its energy is focused on one particular point, right? And because all of its energy is focused on one particular point, it has the ability to cut through metal. So it can actually change matter, right? So a laser beam changes matter, changes the molecular structure, it changes life. Whereas a light bulb is lovely, it lights up a room, but it doesn't do much else. So you want to be, when it comes to social media, you want to be a laser beam, right? In your business, you want to be a laser beam. In your relationships, you can be more like a light bulb, right? Because you need to have your energy much more on the other person and the relationships around you. So you can switch between laser beam mode and light bulb mode. Who gave me a like then? That was nice. So where was I getting at? Social media. Yeah. So this is about really finding out where your ideal client hangs out. So for me, Facebook is an absolute must. I love Facebook groups. My Facebook page is all about, so Facebook page is good because you get all of your stats and analytics on your Facebook page. It's much more geared to business and you can link it with a group. Whereas your personal profile is really just sort of like a standalone website, so to speak. So the reason I love Facebook is because of the interaction and the sharing facility and the engagement. I like Instagram for different reasons. I like the stories on Instagram. For me, they're more of like a day fly on the wall sort of stuff, like this is what I'm doing now and this is what I'm doing now and join me on the journey. And Twitter, I don't get involved with. I think Twitter for me is for sort of like celebrities and politicians, people in the public eye. I could do Twitter, but Twitter for me feels like torch paper. You have to be very, very quick and constant with your tweets. And yeah, it just feels like the content doesn't stick around as long on Twitter, whereas Instagram, people can go on your grid and they can see your lovely pictures. It's very visual, Instagram. LinkedIn is good if you're in the corporate world. So Jane, I think you've been in the corporate world, so maybe that might be a good platform for you to investigate. YouTube videos are great. Podcasts are great, but it's just figuring out what you like. If you like being in front of the camera, then YouTube videos are great. If you prefer just being a voice, then maybe podcasting would be better for you. So play to your strengths. This is all about tuning in, finding out what you like. Where do you digest content? Like for me, it's podcasts all the way. I absolutely love them. I listen to them on my walks, audiobooks, Facebook Lives as well. But, I never sit and watch YouTube videos. Rarely do I sit and watch YouTube videos. So I watch YouTube videos for how to change a tire or how to clean my Hoover filter or something like that. But not for sort of, I don't sit and watch concerts or anything like that, but you might, and that might be something that your ideal client does. So it's really about asking them during the research call how they digest information. All right, number 5. So this is creating magnetic content. So magnetic content is obviously stuff that's magnetic, that draws people in, that catches people's imagination, inspiration, and their attention. So when you're creating your magnetic content, you really need to be, well, first of all, you need to be upsetting the apple cart a little bit. So I like to do quite disruptive pieces. Not always. If I'm sort of day 14 onwards, if I'm in the luteal phase of my cycle, then I can feel a bit angsty and a bit rebellious and like I just want to grr. Or it might be that I'm actually can't be bothered, I haven't got much energy and I don't feel like being confrontational. So, you've got to really tune in with what you feel like doing. Sometimes you want to be a bit more educational. Sometimes you want to upset the apple cart and just rough things up a little bit. So a disruptive heading is quite useful. I think a post that I did that was very popular was, "Can all the lockdown motivators please shut up?" And that was actually extracted from a Telegraph interview. I quoted it, obviously. But anything like that, anything that sort of makes your back go up can be quite magnetic. It's very provocative. And this is how newspapers sell their news, but they do it to the nth degree. So what we're doing is just creating a little disruptor, getting people in, making the building on the pain, and then teaching them or educating them on how we've experienced that pain point and then turned it around using our own wisdom, using our own methods. And then finally you have a call to action at the bottom and you invite them to do something, whether it's send you a direct message or click this link to sign up for this freebie, or you're just trying, you're not directly selling at people. You're not saying buy my product, like book in for an RTT session. No, it's about building the relationship. So sending them somewhere, sending them on a little journey, which they may want to go on. So having a nice disruptive headline, a good piece of content, make sure there's no spelling mistakes, make sure it's all laid out nicely. In Instagram, the text formatting is a bit of a pain in the neck. And I have this app called Instagram Line something. Oh, Insta-space. Don't know if you can see it there. That's what I use to format my Instagram text, to make sure that it's all well spaced out. Adding emojis, because what you want to do is tune into people's emotions. It's emotions that sell, basically. So just making your content as emotional as possible. I made this mistake a while back of trying to educate my clients rather than inspire and provoke emotion from my clients. That's how your content is magnetic. It's got to be emotional, it's got to be disruptive and inspirational. If you're just spouting off facts and stuff, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes education can be inspirational, but it's about you really testing. Dip your toe in the water and test, see what works, see what doesn't. Clarity comes from engagement. Clarity doesn't come from just sitting there thinking about what you're going to do. You're never going to get clarity if you're just sitting there thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? Try it out and see what the response is. And if you don't get any response, don't worry too much. This is my next step. I'll wait until I give the goods away. So, speaking to the pain points that you might have learnt about in your research calls, using you might be feeling this, you might be feeling that, maybe you feel like this, because rather than I turn it around and say, you might be feeling like this, and that's okay, that's understandable. I felt exactly the same way. Here's what helped me. It's a good way of building and developing. It's like show, not tell. If you tell someone this is what you should be doing, it's very repellent. It's like when you're a teenager and your mum says, don't wear that short skirt, you want to wear that short skirt. So yeah, telling people and finger wagging it's not good. You have to inspire and provoke, but in a nice way. Obviously, we're not mean manipulators, are we? Yeah, people trust people who have been in the trenches and paved the way. So you do need a call to action. I've said that, and you need a nice picture as well. So generally speaking, pictures of you work best, rather than generic stock photos. I'm not saying don't ever use a generic stock photo. Try it and see. It might work best for your business, but people buy people, so they want to see people. And photos that aren't too highly polished as well, I think, work better than highly posed and staged pictures. So while you're walking around, walking the dog, or on your daily walk, take a few selfies. You can use the nice portrait filter, and then you've got some photos ready on your phone for when you want to do a post. So, okay, number 6, show up consistently. You have to show up consistently, and this is the one that floors most people, especially women like us who maybe are burnt out or who just a bit knackered. So people need to see you at least 7 times before they go, oh, this person's worth investigating. And yeah, this is about you being a source of consistency, a source of inspiration, a source of motivation on the regular for your potential client. They will have something that's missing in their life that they need. And if you show up regularly and show them how you're doing it regularly, they will absolutely be wanting to know more, and you will generate a lot of curiosity around that. So, and it's also good for the Facebook algorithm. So the more you show up, the more Facebook will prioritize your posts on people's news feeds as well. So showing up consistently is a big block for a lot of perimenopausal and postmenopausal women, because often we feel tired. And this is where the mindset work and the state management work comes in, and body over business. That's why it has to be first. So before I go live, often I will have a dance around my room, or I'll do some breathing exercises, or some humming, or some singing, or some jumping jacks, or something, just to build and generate energy. So often at the beginning of the day, I don't want to work, or I don't want to do that client, or I don't want to do that Facebook Live, or that podcast, or that post. Most of the time I do. Now I'm absolutely more inspired than ever because I've got my body sorted out. But in the times when I wasn't, I really had to work on my state management. It wasn't natural. Having lots of energy wasn't natural. And often when I did have lots of energy, it was very adrenalized energy. And as we know, that's not ideal for menopausal women, because your stress goes up and it makes all of those hot flushes and those sort of inflammatory symptoms a lot worse. So, it's a balance. It's geeing yourself on to do the thing that you're really scared of or you can't be bothered to do, but at the same time approaching it in a way that really works for you. So either putting a rocket up your backside or trying to calm yourself down, depending on who you are as a person. That's all right, Jane. I'll see you later, lovely. Knowing who you are. In fact, I'd love to do a whole Facebook Live about knowing yourself, because there's so much we can do around that. Knowing who you are, and then making sure you're giving yourself what you need. And there's this idea of doing what you hate first. So if you've committed, so I would advise, if you are thinking of building or starting or scaling your business in some way, really commit to posting regular content. What day is that going to be? So for me, it's a Monday. I do all my content creation on a Monday, and I do what I hate first every single day, whether it's weightlifting, going for a jog, or doing a bit of, actually, I quite like doing content prep, so I don't really need to do that first, or sending that difficult email, or whatever it is for you, whatever you find the hardest, do that first. And then keep going. So momentum builds momentum. If you are completely at the beginning, it's going to take quite a lot of energy for you to get off the ground. But that's okay. As long as you know that, you can put the energy in. It's like an aeroplane getting off the ground. It requires a lot of fuel and a lot of thrust to push it along the runway. But once it's in the sky, flying at 33,000 feet, it's sort of like flying itself with a little bit of help from the engines. So that's it. Please don't get disheartened. Be consistent. Show up on social media consistently. Dip your toe in the water. Try things out. Even if you get no response, don't worry. People will still be looking at it. They'll still be digesting it. It will still be going in. There are a lot of lurkers on Facebook and Instagram, and they don't always comment or like. So don't be disheartened. Just keep going. So let's have a look at that then. Let's just conclude. So we've got number 1, body over business. Number 2, test, don't guess. So this is about doing your research calls. Number 3, create offers that work for you, because when they work for you, they're going to work for your client. It's all about energy. If you're happy, they will see that, they will want a piece of that, and they will come to you. Number 4, laser beam your social media game. So choose 1 or 2 platforms that work for you and where your clients hang out. Number 3, create magnetic content. Number 4, show up consistently. Your efforts will pay off. So many people throw the towel in too early. So don't do that. Just keep going. Trust yourself. If you put these systems in place, it will work for you. So I just want to speak to one little issue here, and this is what holds people back. So, as I said before, building a business is a bit like personal growth on steroids, right? It's actualizing the self. It's taking what's inside of you and manifesting it. So it's taking the formless into form. And it's a journey, and it's often a challenging journey. It's a tricky journey. It's a difficult journey. So you will come up against roadblocks. This is why most people never start. And if they do start, they never finish. I used to go, that's why I've done so many different things through my life. I've been a beauty therapist, a songwriter, a singer, a songwriter in so many different genres as well. Couldn't choose. And every time I came up against something, I would go, let's change direction. And then I'd be addicted to the newness of each project. And I'd be like, this is the one that's going to make it work for me. And it's only until you move through your blocks, your inner deep, your childhood programming, you face the discomfort, that you realize that there's a whole world behind that brick wall that is just waiting for you, and you're waiting for it. So this is about looking at ways to move through your blocks, because everything I've given you here, it's easy, but it's not easy. It's logic. No, it's not easy. It's simple. It's formulaic, but it's not always easy. And it's not always easy because we are human beings with blocks. So RTT, I haven't mentioned it much in this live, but RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, can really help. And I see a lot of clients with visibility blocks, fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of being out there, fear of posting on social media. And it's a real problem, especially in this day and age, when we know we've got gifts to give, but we just can't give them. And this is the way that I think the world is going in terms of business. It's all, or a lot of it, is going online. Not everything. I mean, you think that surgery couldn't be done online, but believe you me, they're creating AI that can do things like appendectomies and things like that. So it won't be long before they're doing full-on brain surgery as well. So we can't ignore the online space. So RTT helps you let go of the past. It helps you reframe negativity. It helps you move forward with balance, with moderation, with ease, with flow. But at the same time, it helps you face those fears and muster up the energy to do what you need to do to move forward, to break through. So RTT goes back into your childhood, looks at why you have these fears of rejection where you criticized a lot. I know for me, that was a huge thing for me. I was criticized quite a bit by both my parents and sort of tried to be put into this box by them, but I didn't want that. But it made me feel wrong, made me feel different, made me feel like I couldn't really connect. And so I've had to work through a lot of that in order to be able to move forward in my business. It's getting to that deep place, which I think a lot of coaches can't do, because you need a therapy qualification to be able to do that, to open somebody up. And that's why I love RTT, because it's done under hypnosis, and hypnosis is one of the most powerful brainwave states to be in. You're very connected to your emotions in hypnotherapy. And when we get emotional, that's when we have the leverage to change. Logic doesn't do as much, but emotions really do, So that's why it's so powerful. And I do hypnosis, I do the RTT, plus coaching as well, plus WhatsApp support if you need it. So drop me a direct message if you're interested, if you want to know a little bit more about how RTT can help you through your business blocks, your visibility blocks, and maybe fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of being seen, and all of that stuff. All right, ladies. Well, that's all from me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to go and check out the Menopause Mindset podcast as well. This week was all about relationships. Last week was all about relationships. This week on Friday, it's all about money. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about today, money and menopause. All right, my lovely ones, hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you next week. Bye for now.